In our last lecture, we looked at what the different areas of the brain are, both sensory areas, which we'll look at here, and motor areas. So I want to review that before going on to our next section. So, the sense of taste. What lobe is it? Sense of smell. So pause the video, take a couple minutes to answer, and then I will give you the answers. So, in the last class we looked at the functional areas of the brain. I expect you know all of those for the class, but I ran out of time on the video before I can have you match the destination with the senses. And I will ask you these. So, take a minute, pause the video, answer where all of these are found. In our last lecture, we looked at the functional areas of the brain, both for sense and for motor. And we didn't have a chance to review, so I want you to take a minute before we move on to our next unit and actually match the sense with its location. So pause the video. There might be a little extra thing down here for you, and when you're ready, I will tell you the answers. Ready? Well, taste is actually not on this map, unfortunately. So my favorite lobe is hiding underneath the temporal lobe right here, and that's called the insular lobe. So that would be C. Sight. Sight was weird. Remember, it comes in through here, goes to the thalamus, comes out. What lobe was back here? Correct, occipital lobe. Now, touch. Touch? Oh, touch and response. It's in this wrinkly area. What are wrinkles? Gyruses. Now, this red line right there is the central sulcus. This is behind the central sulcus. So this is the post-central gyrus, or D. This motor control is in the one before the central sulcus. That's the pre-central gyrus. So if I asked you motor control, that would be the answer. Hearing. Ooh, it's in this lobe right here. That is the temporal lobe. Now, smell is complicated. It shows you right there. That's the olfactory cortex of the frontal lobe. Your book also says the temporal lobe, and it's in a structure called the amygdala. So how'd you do? Again, I will ask you all of these on the exam. So now we're going to look for tracts in the brain. If you remember, a tract is a group of myelinated axons going from one place to another place. So, tracts have to be in white matter. And the white matter of the brain is deep to the gray matter. And we generally have three kinds of tracts. We have association tracts that connect association areas. Projection tracts. What do you think projection tracts do? Correct, they project up and down. And then commiserate tracts. Those bridge the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. So, a tract is axons going from one location to another in the central nervous system. So I'll have axons going from the spine, it'll cross, it'll go to the post-central gyrus saying, ouch, I just stepped on a tack. I will have another axon coming down, going down the spinal cord for some reason. So these would be projection tracts. Now I could have tracts that are going left to right. So I have other tracts that are connecting gray matter here to gray matter on the other side of the brain. So anywhere I have white matter here, that is some sort of tract. So there's three types. Projection tracts are what are in red here. They go up the spinal cord, and they go usually to the outer cortex here. We have commiserate tracts, which are going to cross left and right. So the blue is the commiserate tract. Then we have association tracts. Those are all these tracts up here attaching to the association area. I didn't get anywhere into language, but basically to speak, you have areas in the temporal lobe, going to Wernicke's area, going to Broca's area, going back to the temporal lobe. It is very complicated. So those would be controlled by association tracts. Now, there's 3 or 4 large commiserate tracts that I want you to know. The biggest one is in green right here. That is a big body. What's a body? What's a dead body? A corpse. And how can we say big in Latin? Well, the Colosseum was a giant statue of Nero in Rome. That's where we get Colosseum from. So, callosum. That is big. So the Corpus Callosum is this humongous commissuratory tract bridging the left and right cerebral hemispheres. There's two smaller ones that are not on the test. We have the anterior and posterior commissuratory tracts. So if this one gets separated, they actually used to cut it to treat epilepsy. You actually have these smaller commissuratory tracts down here. In the center of the thalamus, this is the thalamus, and this is looking huge. There is one right here. It is called the interthalamic adhesion. They thought it just glued the left and right thalamic lobes together. In reality, it is a commissuratory tract. It's smaller in men, and it's actually absent in about 20% of people. So those are the main commissural tracts of the brain. The corpus callosum, the one I'm 100% asking you about. The interthalamic adhesion, 95% asking you about that one. Then the two I won't mention, anterior and posterior commissurals. Now, projection tracts travel up and down the spinal cord. So, unfortunately, this is cut right here. But these tracts originate in the spine, and they're going up somewhere. So they're going to some of this outer gray matter. So they project from one area of the spine to a specific sensory area. Or they project from a motor area to a specific part of the spine. And they tie the cortex with the rest of the central and peripheral nervous systems. So they're very important. So we'll now move down to the diencephalon in our next lecture. And then we'll talk about the brainstem in an additional lecture. And we'll close with the ventricles. So, look forward to seeing you in our next video.